All right, guys, welcome back. This is Eric here with Guitarsenal. Today we're going to be doing just a very quick sort of lesson, I guess you could call it, on closed voicing chords. And I'm not really here to show you chords per se, but we're going to discuss what a closed voicing chord is and how it differs from other types of chord movements. Okay, so guitar is a very unique instrument. Okay, guitar is organized in patterns, whereby an instrument such as a piano, you can't rely on patterns as much. So with a piano, the notes are there and you have to know all your sharps and flats, you have to know what's in each scale. Guitar, you get a little bit more of a luxury of being able to kind of forget some of that and really just concentrate on chord shapes. And what I mean by that is a guitar is tuned a certain way. You have a starting point, right? So if I hit an open E chord, and I've got an open E chord, okay? If I want to transpose that chord, I simply just bar it. That's an F, it's an F sharp, that's a G, right? Simple. But what changed? Nothing, right? The shape is the same, and all I'm doing is transposing it. So with guitar, once you learn the notes on the neck and where they are, let's say that same E7 up here on the neck, all right, that's very much an open type of chord because I'm using open strings. All right, what would be another open way that I could play that chord and still get away with it, right? Well, that would be like up here. If I want to play the root note on the A string with an E7, and I could play, again, all of the E's, the upper and bottom E. And so what's a closed voicing chord? What does that mean? What a closed voicing chord is where you have to either mute or omit open strings from the chord. So a closed voicing chord would be, let's use A major 7 as an example. If we made it A major 7, again, I can transpose that closed voicing chord shape. But if you notice where my hands are at, I'm not even making a conscious effort to do it. I'm just going to play all the strings. What did you not hear? You didn't hear the A string or the high E string in that chord. Closed voicing, which means you have to be a little more. Hear that? I'm not even fretting it. It's just from playing so long, I've learned to let my finger just sort of rest on that string and you don't hear it. Another way is to use your fingers and just pluck those individual notes. You notice I'm using my thumb and then my 3 fingers right here. I'm not hitting these 2 strings. Watch, I'll let the chord ring and I'll touch those 2 strings and the chord will still ring out. Listen. See, I'm holding them down. The chord's still ringing. Closed voicing. All right. Another example of a closed voicing chord would be, let's say, another shape that you could do with that particular chord if you want. Okay, this time we have the root note of the A major 7 on the D string, okay? And this is an arpeggiation that I actually use all the time, but let's say for instance somebody else is playing a song and y'all are in A major 7, and somebody's going whatever, right? You could play up high and play this. Get the point? So closed voicings, you need to know the root note. You need to know what area of the neck you're making that chord on, but you have to omit certain strings from the chord. All right, I'm going to play something that sounds bad. All right, if I were to now, actually, we happen to be in a location where if I played that A with the A major 7, I can get away with that, because A is the root note, and that just happens to be where I am. What if here? Let's create some dissonance. I'll just move up 1 fret. Now we're playing a B flat major 7. All right. Now I'm going to show you why you have to be concerned about closed voicing. If I play the chord with the root note on the D string like I want. All right. Now what if I hit the A? Closed voicing. So see, a closed voicing chord can encompass the entire spectrum. Like, you know, honestly, a bar chord could be considered a closed voicing because you are purposely barring the open strings to get to the pitch that you want, or you're omitting certain strings. I like to consider closed voicing chords to be more of a conscious effort that you have to make to understand where you're at in the neck and to let certain strings not ring out. So that was really what I wanted to drive home in this video. There's a ton of closed voicing chords that can also be big and airy depending on how they sound. Like, you know, if I take this turnaround chord, say we're in A minor 7, minor 9. Get into crazy stuff. Weird chords like that. You know, like we already discussed, the 7 sharp 9 chord, and then going to like from a sharp 9 to a flat 9. That's another pristine example of a closed voicing chord. Now you notice I hit the low E string, but that's only because that's an E that I'm playing, an E7 sharp 9 to an E7 flat 9. I can get away with that low E. Again, if we were in another off key, like say B flat, dissonance, right? No good. Closed voicing chord. Always be mindful of where you're at on the neck. So that's a luxury that sometimes you don't, get to have. All right. So just sort of keep that in your mind. And one thing I want to mention about the closed voicing type of chord is that closed voice chords also take the longest amount of time to master because oftentimes they're large stretches, or it's a chord that requires, you know, a lot of individual notes to be held down. I'm like, if you think about that E7 right there with the flat 9, and I'm adding that high 13 or whatever it is in there, that's a complicated chord. It's got a lot going on, right? You wouldn't play that with a fuzz over it. It just wouldn't sound right. It wouldn't have any articulation. So knowing those closed voicing chords, depending on what you're trying to get into, get the idea. So hopefully that gives some of you guys maybe some food for thought on the type of chords that you can run into. This wasn't necessarily meant to teach you specific chords, but to teach you the concept of closed voicing and how it really can matter. You know, you can use open strings in a lot of chords. I guess a good example would be, say we wanted to, I know you've heard people do this before, where you take like an E major or something, go. Right? That's a very open voicing, right? Where you're able to really ring strings out within the complexities of a scale and get away with that. Very open voicing. So that's the difference between, let's say we're in F, I can't get away with that quite as well. I have to switch to closed voicing chords because then I'm getting in, all right, well, let's do that in F and hear how bad it sounds. We're going to make a bad sound. All right, so if I'm in F, I can't go. In some cases, it might make an okay sound, but not really. Okay, so you have to know when to apply those open strings and when not to. All right, here is a mixture of a closed voicing chord and a chord where you're incorporating some open strings. Listen to this chord. Now you think about where in this chord the open strings are at. This is a flat minor type of crazy thing. I don't even know the name of this chord, but it's got some crazy inversions and weird things going on in it. But if I needed to transpose this chord, now you want to talk about a stretch. That's something I haven't even worked my mind around yet. But here are the open strings in the chord. Complexity. You get a little bit of beauty in there. So guys, maybe this gives you some food for thought. Have yourselves a great day. We hope you enjoyed today's video. Sometimes I just get in the mood to sort of teach, so I hope you guys found this video informative. Maybe some of you guys have been struggling with chord shapes. And it'll hopefully encourage you to learn the neck, understand where the root notes are, and understand a little bit of theory. It really goes a long way. Study the circle of fifths. Study, some basic jazz progressions and blues progressions. You'd be surprised how much music you can sit into with very little effort. And once you really start to learn a few inversions and some weirder jazz chords and some of the pretty closed voicings, you can create some just really beautiful sounding stuff if you take a little time to learn your way around it. So have yourselves a great day. Thank you for watching today. We post every Monday and Friday here on Guitarsenal. Make sure you tune in. Have yourselves a wonderful day. We'll see you next time.